with details regarding Chris Jericho's newly signed contract and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for October 18th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Speaking of Scott Fishman of TV Insider, NXT head booker Shawn Michaels was asked about returning to traditional arenas for NXT shows, as he said, absolutely. As he mentioned, we started with the Florida Loop, or the Coconut Loop as we call them. We've briefly discussed getting out for our premium live events. Do we want to do that at the end of the year or start at the beginning of the new year? We had Stand and Deliver for WrestleMania weekend, which is the first time many of our talents were out of the Performance Center. It's certainly something we want to get back to. We have every intention of doing that. We're actually having talks on how we want to go about executing that. This will go beyond shows in the state of Florida for certainly premium live events, but regular live events. As you know, that is part of the developmental process. They have to get out there and perform on the main roster all around the world. They might as well get their feet wet in NXT. Touching on his time in AEW since his debut for the promotion 3 years back, Jon Moxley said this on Cincy 360 about betting on himself leaving WWE. It's really cool to be on the ground floor, and I guess I bet on myself to a degree. That's a good way to put it when I left WWE. The last 3 years have been the best 3 years of my career for sure. A lot of that mindset is like, I don't know if selfish is the right word, but self-interested. Where am I going to have the best matches? Where can I do this, that, and the other? Now, looking forward to the next 5 years, I think a lot of that has shifted too. How can I give back to wrestling? How can I perpetuate wrestling going forward? Wrestling gave me everything I have in life. I would be, the cliche is, you'd be dead or in jail. I can't think of another way to put it. I would have nothing without wrestling. It's the thing that brought me life and gave me purpose and is a thing that's mine. It brought me everything I have in life, from my wife to my family to my house, my truck, my friends, my life experiences. It's my entire life. If there are other people out there who come from where I come from, or the place I come from, it could be the same thing for them. Even just being a fan or being inspired by some wrestlers, or even if I can just perpetuate the joy of the inspiration that wrestling provides, or perpetuate everything wrestling has given to me and pay it forward and back to the universe, it'll come back to me in spades. I've had plenty of success, and I want to continue having that success. I'm not nearly done, but I'm already looking forward to the future of giving back over the next however many years. Being in AEW is the perfect place to do that. Recalling her time as a part of NXT, Dakota Kai mentioned stagnating on the brand, telling Ryan Satin out of character. I definitely was at a point where I hit a wall, I guess. I had that character that sort of changed and was dealing with that for a year and seeing where I could take it. But I think I definitely was at a point in NXT where there wasn't really anything further that I could do. I've had a lot of shots at the NXT Women's Championship. I was in multiple tag teams. I was with a lot of different people, and I loved all my experiences. Giving details on a new AEW documentary in the works, Fightful noted that AEW talent and staff were informed this past week that AEW is set to produce a documentary show that will focus on the behind-the-scenes aspect of a group of all elite wrestling talent. We're told that talent were given the option to not be involved in the documentary. Filming is set to start in November at the Baltimore AEW Dynamite and run 6 weeks through the AEW tapings in Garland, Texas on December 14th. Tony Khan will serve as an executive producer for the show, with Sam Burns, executive producer of Shed Media, helping out as well. The production is in collaboration with both Shed Media and Warner Bros. Discovery, the latter of which airs AEW Dynamite and Rampage weekly. Those that we spoke to say the show will air in 2023. CNBC recently noted in an article that WWE stock has hit a new high as PW Insider gave more details on this. The company's stock is up more than 50% in 2022, hitting a 52-week high Monday, and trading at levels it hasn't seen since summer 2019. The S&P 500 by comparison is down more than 20% this year. The stock's strong performance this year occurred WWE's live wrestling events business came roaring back after months of COVID restrictions, and the company increasingly became the subject of sale talks. The stock continued to do well after the company's longtime leader and biggest shareholder, Vince McMahon, retired from the company over the summer in a cloud of scandal. Shares of the company were effectively flat Monday after hitting $76.90. WWE's market capitalization is over $5.6 billion. With Adam Page cutting a passionate promo about Jon Moxley last week on Dynamite, Jim Cornette had this to say about it on his podcast. Adam Page he said all the words here, but he has zilch in the way of promo charisma, where he doesn't make you think that it's him talking. He's reciting it. He doesn't put inflection or emphasis into a lot of it. It's just his same blank stare and monotonic voice, except when he flips out every once in a while, and as he did here. I don't know what to think about this. I mean, I guess if you already liked Adam Page, you thought, wow, boy, what a promo. But like most people, since they don't already like him, they thought, what is with this guy? He acts like a nerd trying to be a cowboy. Talking about Vince McMahon being hesitant to make Rey Mysterio a main eventer and world champion in WWE, Kurt Angle revealed on his podcast, yes, Vince was not very keen on a smaller guy making it to the main event. As a matter of fact, you had to have a certain amount of size on you, especially in the 80s and 90s, and you had to be over 240. But then he kind of loosened up and started taking in guys around 200, 185, 190. The Eddie Guerreros and the Chris Jerichos and the Chris Benoits. And Rey, he wasn't folding with Rey, but somebody talked him into it and said, give him a chance. And he did it that night, and from then on, Rey was a main eventer. Vince was wrong. I mean, Vince is hardly ever wrong, but he was wrong about this. After being a part of NXT UK and being released from WWE, Dave Mastiff spoke to PW Mania about a potential return to the company for the upcoming NXT Europe expansion. We had a meeting and were told it was closing. We were told the Europe thing was in the pipeline. They then made a press release seconds after. Then we all got the calls releasing us. Anything that's said is guesswork by anyone. They need to do a lot of work. Talking to The Wrap about the recently returned Bray Wyatt, Triple H explained how WWE came up with the White Rabbit teases. We asked ourselves how we could bring back Bray Wyatt in the most engaging way possible, so we created the White Rabbit Project, intended to lead our audience down this literal rabbit hole of content to help build anticipation for Wyatt's return at Extreme Rules on Peacock. It started with flickering lights in arenas and continued with the release of other Easter eggs like hidden QR codes within episodes of SmackDown and Raw that led viewers to more clues that kept them guessing and tuning in each week. It culminated in what we believe was a massive payoff for our fans and for WWE. This is a great example of how WWE is uniquely positioned as a sports and entertainment property to harness the power of our shows and our social following to develop multimedia, long-term storytelling that can help produce meaningful, aggregated audiences. Yesterday, it was reported that Triple H tested positive for COVID ahead of Raw last night, according to PW Insider, as Road Dogg filled in for him. Staying on the topic of Bray Wyatt, Bully Ray took to Busted Open Radio to explain why The Fiend should not be brought back to WWE. It almost seems like Bray Wyatt coming out as Wyndham Rotunda or Bray Wyatt, whatever you want to say, in his purest form, wanted to be good, wanted to bare his soul, but the voices in his head, the character that he's portrayed just won't let him. And that's the road I think they're going down. Gotta be careful though. With The Fiend, they painted themselves into such a corner where this guy was impervious to pain. They have to be able to have this depth of character in which Bray Wyatt can still
he'll wrestle a match and work a match. My biggest fear for The Fiend was what happens when the bell rings and the house lights go up. Now what? Now he's just another pro wrestler. In a ring, you have this character that's so many layers. It's so deep. But then once the bell rings, you're a pro wrestler and you gotta wrestle a match. And that's where the disconnect came from me with The Fiend. On his Grilling JR podcast, WWE Hall of Famer Jim Ross spoke about Bray Wyatt's potential interest in AEW when he was previously a free agent, as he said. I don't know if he ever interviewed with Tony Khan or not. It wouldn't surprise me if he did. I don't know. Bray may have had this plan all along. Take some time off, try to get back to the nest. I don't know if they ever talked. I think the horse is out of the barn. He wanted to go back to WWE, and I don't know the amount of money Tony could have offered that was going to supplant his career in WWE. I may be wrong. I think he'd be silly if you're in the wrestling business and this talent was a free agent and you didn't at least engage in a conversation to determine his level of interest, if there was any interest. My take is there was never any major interest, and it was all about right place and the right time to get him back in the game. With Chris Jericho recently signing a new multi-year deal that will see him with AEW through December of 2025, Variety reported that in addition, Jericho will take on increased responsibilities behind the scenes in AEW and will now serve as a producer and creative advisor in addition to continuing as a mentor to young talent. AEW President Tony Khan released this statement on the matter. Chris Jericho long ago cemented his legacy as one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time, and we're fortunate to have his skills, charisma, knowledge, and insights in AEW for years to come. Chris has discovered a fountain of youth this year, and he's having some of the very best matches of his legendary career against some of the top names in wrestling. In expanding his responsibilities, he'll continue to serve as a valuable leader with our roster, having the opportunity to utilize one of the most creative minds in the history of wrestling. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.